Dr. Gonzalez, it's great to have you here. Dr. Cynthia Gonzalez is the director of the UTRGV Psychology Training Clinic, and she has great information on how to make your life with this COVID environment even better. Even though you're not participating on the field right now, which relieves a little bit of your stress, it might cause more. So, Dr. Gonzalez, welcome.
Great to be here. Thank you so much for that great introduction. I'm pretty much open to answering any questions, but I would like to kind of encourage everyone to consider at some point maybe just having one visit with us to see how things are going. A part of being a good athlete, even though you may not be in a competitive state right now and competing in your game, another major component is good mental health. And sometimes during these types of transitioning and changes, you want to kind of stay at the top of your game, so to speak, mentally. And so we're here to try to help anyone that is struggling with whether it's loneliness, loss, changes that come with being quarantined or isolated. Our staff here is, very much open to working around people's schedules. So if there's any specific questions that anybody has for me, I'm definitely open.
Yeah, I'd like to ask a question. Since we have you here, you talked about the effects of isolation. You want to talk a little bit about that? What happens when people become isolated, socially isolated from, or what can happen, and what are some of the signs and symptoms that something might need attention?
Well, one of the things that really is important to kind of recognize when we're going through this major transition, whether it's being quarantined because you're having to due to the pandemic, or because you're being isolated because now you're having to do all of your courses online. Isolation can really create a very change in a person's emotional status. And so it's important to kind of look out for things like a loss of motivation, not having an interest in the things that you were having before, feeling disconnected or feeling no real emotions, loneliness. Those are some of the symptoms. Another type of general symptoms that people may be also experiencing is increased feelings of anxiety. Now, anxiety can manifest in different ways with people. There are some people that it's very obvious. They get very edgy. They are feeling very, very jumpy. They're getting nervous. Sometimes it also manifests physically. People can have symptoms, physical symptoms, like they start getting a lot of headaches. They get also problems with their stomach, things like that. Anxiety is a major other symptom that comes from this isolation. Now, I'm going to share something with you. I recently was isolated for 3 weeks, and I experienced at least maybe 4 of the symptoms that I just described, and it was definitely a challenge for me, where I had to push myself to engage. So it is really important to kind of look at those things, because those we're human beings. We need connection. We need to feel some kind of support. Sometimes that's physical. I mean, literally, having another person next to you, that can be emotionally uplifting. But when we're not in that situation, we're in our dorm rooms or we're in our rooms, it really dampers your emotions, and mentally, you can start to really feel a little helpless and hopeless. So keeping those kinds of things, looking out. Also look at your friends, and watch for those signs as well. And just reach out to people. Having gone through what I did, I changed my view of how I handle some of the people that I care about, and I've reached out to them because they're in isolation. And I just make sure just to touch base, talk, just to help them connect with somebody when they're in isolation.
So our student athletes can certainly go through their academic advisor, their coach, me, Mr. Conk, if they want to reach out to your clinic. But what's another? Can they go directly to you? And where are you located? How would they get in touch with you if they didn't go through someone in the athletic department?
Good question. A couple of we have various ways of if somebody just wants to reach out to us. One, we are on Instagram, and there is a link there to our website. And our website has a referral form, and you just fill that out. We've actually gotten quite a bit of referrals from our website, meaning you just fill it out. It's very simple information saying, hey, my name is this, please call me at this number. And so that's kind of like the easiest way. Our Facebook also has that link to our webpage. And so those are probably two of the easiest ways. Now, of course, you can always do it the good old-fashioned way of calling our office at 665-6600. Okay, so all of those are two ways, and of course, going through also the athletic department, and those are also good ways. And this, of course, is something that we don't require insurance. We don't require that the athletic department has to refer you. You can do that on your own, and this cost is covered.
That's a really good service you're providing there at the clinic. I'm wondering, when people are cooped up together a lot, I'm wondering about the anxiety and maybe getting on each other's nerves and snipping and things like that. And what's your recommendation to avoid, verbal confrontations or worse when everybody's kind of cooped up together?
Well, one of the things that's very important when you are in isolation, or even if it's just isolation, not because you've been designated to do that, you're by yourself, and you don't have any classes on campus, or you're doing everything virtually. Very important to managing anxiety and just your mental wellness is to keep to a schedule. That is very important. Keeping to a schedule and keeping to a physical exercise routine. Believe it or not, so much of the research has shown that doing physical exercise is just as effective as medication. Now, that doesn't surprise me because I think some of the student athletes kind of understand that hormonally your body changes, your brain chemistry changes when you do physical exercise. So, keeping to a routine, keeping to a physical exercise regimen. It may not be necessarily your athletic competition activity, but it could just be a regular routine of walking or jogging or cycling. Those are two good ways of managing some of the depressive or anxiety symptoms that you may be experiencing.
Great, thank you. I failed to introduce Miss Molly Castner, who's the Associate Director of Athletics, also our Senior Women's Athletic. I always get this mixed up, Miss Molly. How do you say it?
Senior Woman Administrator.
Senior Woman Administrator.
SWA. Yes, SWA.
SWA, sure. Thank you. Do you have any more questions of Dr. Gonzalez?
Could you just confirm and explain a little more about the anonymity piece? Will a coach find out if someone goes and talks to you or someone in the clinic, or will that get reported back to anyone? Or
that's a real good question, because we have been seeing student athletes, and one thing that's really important, and it's been like a mix. Now, just generally speaking, really important to know that when you come and see us here at our clinic, we do not disclose information. Even if this is a covered cost, we don't disclose information to the athletic director, to the coach, to not even the athletic support center, unless you authorize us to. That's very, very important, that the record itself, any notes that we take during sessions, that is all the client's record, meaning the student's record. And of course, if it is the student's record, they do have access to the records that, the notes that we take and so forth. So privacy, confidentiality are at the utmost for us, important, and only with written authorization from the student can we disclose anything. Now, I've had a mix of students. Some students are, yes, I want you to, maybe we're seeing them for therapy, and then we do an evaluation. They say, no, please do, Dr. Gonzalez, send this to the disability. And you know what, I want you to share this too with the trainer or the physician that's seeing them. Maybe they have ADHD, and they want me to share that with them. But still, that is a written consent that the student says, hey, you can give this evaluation to this person. So that's really important to have. And once again, it can be a referral from someone in the department, or it could be just self-initiated. There's nothing wrong with that.
Thank you.
Thanks for that. That brings to mind something for me, and two things actually. First, if the mental health issues are interfering with academic performance, we do have a student accessibility office here, and you can go to them and get accommodations for your education. So that's another resource that can help you if you are having difficulties that are interfering with your academic performance. Now, Cynthia, I know that there might be one or two things that you might be required to interact with somebody else on in your practice. I can't remember what they are, but I do remember that a little bit.
Actually, I'm very glad, because there are exceptions to when we disclose information about a student. Like I mentioned right now, is that when you want me to share information to someone else, you write that in writing saying I can do that. However, there are exceptions of this type of confidentiality. And these exceptions are usually the situations in which somebody is in danger. So in situations where there is danger to you, the student maybe is self-harming in some way, then we are obligated to make sure that their safety is okay. So we would reach out to other health professionals to get that person safe. Or in situations where they're threatening to hurt somebody, those are another situations where we do have to disclose and get maybe the authorities involved in order to make sure nobody hurts nobody else, right? And then other situations of abuse where a person's safety may be at risk of harm, violence of some kind. People may be, violating them. And so again, we would disclose situations. And one that I have grown to start also including in here is in situations of terrorist attacks or attacks and shootings where, just more global threats to a campus where there's a situation of a threat of some kind that we would be required to disclose to authorities for the safety of everyone. So I'm glad that you brought that up, Paul, because those are conditions that all mental health providers have to abide by, whether it's a psychologist like me or even your physician, that you're seeing. They have to abide by the laws of making sure everyone is safe.
Thank you. And having off and on used counselors for the last 30 years, I can tell you that I've never had my information released without my consent. So those are rare occasions, very rare occasions. And I would suggest that that if that did indeed happen, it's for the student athletes or the client's own good. Molly, any other questions?
No, I'm good. I'm really grateful to you, Dr. Gonzalez, and for the support you provide our student athletes. And thank you so much.
And so you're located, Dr. Gonzalez, off of Fountain Plaza Boulevard, I believe. Is it Boulevard? It's right near Canton and McCall in the Fountain
Correct.
Plaza sub.
We're very close to I use this as a marker, Navy Army Credit Union. We are right next to it. If you look at our website, it kind of shows you a little bit of the clinic. Once again, we do have more flexible hours with most of our athletes, and because of practice schedules with, that they have that are different than some of the other students that we see. Keep in mind that we also see people in the evening. Right now, we have evening hours on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays.
I'll tell you, it's a great service you provide. And really want to say we appreciate you being here both today to record this question and answer, but also generally. I know in your first year of operation, you saw athletes, and I recall them being very grateful that you were here. So thanks a lot, and we will check in with you periodically if things come about, and we'll produce more of these question and answers. If you see a need, let us know, and we'll get the message out. But for right now, it's good mental health at UTRGV.